Interpretation of verse 180 of Surah Al-Baqarah. As Sati wrote. Most interpreters of the Quran believed that this verse was annulled by the verse on inheritance, and only a few theologians believed that this prescription only applies to a will in favor of parents and close relatives who are not heirs. However, no sacred text specifies this verse in this way, and therefore, according to the most reliable opinion, Allah Almighty first ordered the bequest of property to parents and next of kin in general, according to generally accepted customs, and then appointed a certain share of the inheritance for parents and others relatives who are entitled to the inheritance. This injunction is detailed in the verse on inheritance, which was revealed after this verse with a general meaning. As for this verse, it remains valid in relation to a will in favor of parents and other relatives who, for various reasons, may be deprived of the right to inherit. A person must make a will in favor of such relatives, since they deserve his good treatment more than others. This statement shared by absolutely all Muslims, and it helps to unify the two previous interpretations, since each of them draws on separate conclusions and distinguishes between sacred texts. The latter opinion allows you to combine the Quranic verses, and it is always better to combine the sacred texts than to claim the abolition of one of them without relying on reliable evidence. Interpretation of verse 182 of Surah Al-Baqarah. As Sati wrote. If the testator leaves an unjust will and commits a sin, then those present should advise him to dispose of his property in a more worthy and fair manner and keep him from arbitrariness. By injustice here is meant the deviation from the truth by mistake, and by sin the deliberate deviation from the truth. If the testator refuses to do justice, then the executors must correct his will so that all parties are satisfied and reconciled. At the same time, they must remind the heirs of the need to relieve their deceased relative of liability for an unfair will. By doing so, they will do a great good deed and will not commit the sin that people commit by distorting a just testament. Interpretation of verse 183 of Surah Al-Baqarah. It is narrated from the words of Abu Hurairah that the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "Whoever fasted in Ramadan with faith and hope for a reward, his sins committed earlier will be forgiven, and who stood the night of predestination with faith and hope for reward, his past sins will be forgiven." This hadith was narrated by Al-Bukhari, Abu Dawud, At-Tirmizi and An-Nasai. Interpretation